Hello, everybody, and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for Monday. I believe it is the 13th of July. What's that phrase they say? Well, the cat's away, the mouse will play. Well, this mouse is playing. I've got my computer set up on Rob's desk, which is like the primo space in the house. And I am recording because he is at camp being medical officer for the immediate or intermediate group. So the ages 10 to 12 or 13-year-olds this week at our Anglican Memorial Camp. So he's having a blast, and I'm recording sitting in the comfortable chair that is his desk. For some of you may not know, Rob, my husband, is the editor of the Mustard Seed, which is our diocesan newspaper. And there's the Rotary, I think it's Rotary Club, has a massive yard sale twice a year, or book sale twice a year. And Rob, who doesn't really like reading, most of those books are all mine. He doesn't like reading much, but the last time we went to the yard sale or the book sale, he went with me, and he picked up a bunch of little books with little sayings in them that he can use for the mustard seed. And this one I'd like to talk to you today about is from a book called Don't Forget to Sing in the Lifeboats by Catherine and Ross Petrus. And this is a quote from Annie Dillard, who is a writer. It says, "You can't test courage cautiously." There's something about courage that I think we don't think about much, but I think we need to think about more often than we probably do. I remember the Wizard of Oz. I think it was the lion who had no courage, and he wanted to have courage. He had no nerve. He wanted to have courage. And there's something about the idea that you can't test courage cautiously. You can't. That's the whole point about courage. When we're being cautious, if we're being very, very careful about the things that we're doing, about the decisions we're making, we're trying really hard to make sure that nothing goes wrong. Is that courageous? Now, there's nothing wrong with trying to be cautious, be careful, make sure things go right. When we're cautious, we make sure we don't run red lights, we don't hit people with our car. If we're cautious, we're turning off the stove before we leave the house and things like that. There's nothing wrong with cautious. 1 second, as I figure out what my dog is doing. Skunk! I'm going to pause for a second here. Sorry about that. I was being overly cautious about Skunk. When she gets quiet, it usually means danger is happening. Cords are being chewed or things like that. I'm going to hold the cord up here so she's below me right now. When we're cautious, we can often allow our caution to go to the extreme. Like we don't try something new. We're being cautious. There needs to be a balance between courage and caution. We need to find that place in our worlds, in our lives, in our experiences where we acknowledge that the next step might mean that we throw caution to the wind, that we have to figure out how to do something even though it's not completely safe. And when I say safe, I don't mean like walking across a tight wire over Niagara Falls or something. I'm talking about recognizing that sometimes we are called to do things that make us feel unsafe in our own worlds, like talking to a new person, making a phone call. For some people, myself included, phone calls are dreadful. I will do everything I can to avoid a phone call. I'm getting better. The older I get, the more I have to make phone calls. I can screw my courage to the sticking place, as Lady Macbeth says, and I can get the job done. But it takes courage for me to do that. It takes courage for me to walk into hospitals. I have great conversations with people who are smoking outside hospital doors because I hate going in them. Once I'm in, I'm fine. It's like going through the front door thing. And it sounds ridiculous, but it takes courage on my part to do that. And if I were to exercise an overabundance of caution, then I wouldn't even go through the door. There has to be something motivating us to encourage us to get beyond ourselves, to get beyond the fear factor that we have within our own hearts. It is truly amazing how courageous we can be for other people. How many times have you in your life done something that you look back on later and thought, wow, I didn't think I could do that. And it wasn't because you did it for yourself. It's because you did it for your loved ones, for your children, for your spouse, for your grandchildren, for your parent, for a friend, because there was something about the person you did it for that caused you to stop thinking about yourself. And you just jump forward and did something that, looking back on later, you're like, I can't believe I did that. Sometimes I think we need to allow ourselves to love ourselves enough that we will throw caution to the wind ourselves, and to find courage to do things for our own selves. So as you go about your day in your week this week, what kinds of things do you put off? What kinds of decisions do you just choose not to make or not to pursue because of an overabundance of caution? How many times do you think to yourself, oh, I could never do that? But if somebody else asked you to do it, or they needed you to do it for their sake, you do it in a heartbeat without thinking. So I invite you to not necessarily throw caution to the wind this week, but at least take it meaningfully and set it aside a little bit and find some courage to do something that you didn't think you could do for you. Maybe it is a phone call. Maybe it is to go and see a movie all by yourself. As silly as it sounds, that takes courage. I've done it myself a lot of times because either I didn't have anyone in my life at the time to go with me to a show, or the person who is in my life didn't want to go see that movie, but I really did. But I gotta tell you, sometimes it took great courage for me to face the wild world and walk into a movie theater and buy my popcorn and my drink and go and find the perfect place to sit that I liked and watch that movie. And it's amazing because when I did that, and I'm serious, these are things that took courage for me to start doing. When I did that, it was amazing because really nobody noticed that I was by myself. Or the few people who did probably thought, wow, look at her, independent enough to go to the movie by herself. Good on her. Whatever it might be, whatever it is you need to face, maybe it's something heavier, something bigger, but whatever it is, allow yourself to feel the caution, to let go of the caution, and to feel the courage. Give yourself permission to be courageous, to be the lion who discovered he could indeed have an oive. And don't be cowardly. Don't be too cautious. Be courageous. And if you do something, please put in the comments, what you did and how it feels. Or create your own video. Maybe that's your courageous moment, is to venture into the world of YouTube. You never know what you might discover. May you have a beautifully, gently cautious, and exuberantly courageous week. God bless you. I'll see you again tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachel.